Hello there folks, my name is Spoonks and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did, so let's get started. Number 5 was Clown in a Cornfield, opening with $3.6 million this weekend domestically and $3.9 million worldwide. So despite it being a very crowded weekend for new movies, surprisingly, only one was able to crack the top 5, and lo and behold, it was this movie, which set records for Shudder. Apparently it's the biggest debut for a film released by the studio. That's all good, said and done, but really this isn't really anything mind-blowing or anything, obviously, in the grand scheme of things. I think because the other movies just weren't interesting or captivating for other audiences, and the fact they were able to get this movie to at least the highest of highs it could possibly reach, that's pretty respectable. I saw them doing some interesting marketing stunts here and there for the film. They had Frendo riding and driving some buses across major cities, which I thought was pretty clever, and clearly there was interest for the film, as obviously, again, the marketing I think sold the film well to its niche crowd, but again, still nothing big or grand or anything really to shake the box office. What is helping the movie though is that the budget was also just very cheap to make. Once again, horror, very cheap. Apparently this was a budget under $1 million, and it's pretty much tripled that by this point, so it's not like it needs to make any more money for itself. So movie is off to a good start for itself, even if it's nothing major or groundbreaking. I'm not sure what the legs will be on this movie. Not only is there a pretty big horror sequel coming out this coming weekend, but also audiences don't seem to be enjoying this as much as critics. Critics enjoy it all right enough. Audiences gave it a C+ on CinemaScore. That's on par with Until Dawn, the most recent horror film, and we all know how that movie did. So I'm not sure how this movie's gonna leg out, but this debut ain't too bad, even if it's definitely on the smaller scale. Number 4 was The Accountant 2, making $6.7 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $51 million and its worldwide total to $83 million. So miraculously, Accountant 2 bounced back after a pretty devastating weekend last weekend. It had a pretty steep drop off last weekend. This weekend it only fell 29%. Really impressive, I guess. Everybody who wanted to see it was just way too busy to go check it out last weekend, so they decided to make the most out of the slower weekend. Because of that, it has now surpassed the $50 million milestone domestically, becoming the 9th film of the year to do so. And I know that's a bit sad when I say it out loud, but still impressive. And it has also surpassed the $80 million milestone worldwide. The initial production budget, it should get to $100 million worldwide very soon. That's all good, said and done, and if it can keep going at this rate, I think it'll be a modest sleeper hit. With that being said, I'm not sure if it's going to be all that successful in theaters. I still think it's got a couple more places to open internationally, and this is a good sign of things to come. But again, the budget was $80 million. It still needs to double that milestone. It's probably going to get over there, but not by much, again, depending on the international numbers, because it does seem like it's, even after it bounced back this weekend, still seems like it's going to slow down, and we're really heading into the summer movie season, so it's going to get beaten down by a lot of the competition on the horizon. But still, this is a good sign. This is a good sign. People are starting to show up for it, and the word of mouth is starting to take into effect for it as well. Still, not the best performance, nothing too major out there. It's not a Sinners by any means, but this is a good sign. Hopefully it can continue to perform this well from this point forward. Number 3 was a Minecraft movie, making $7.6 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $408 million and its worldwide total to $909 million. So it has finally surpassed the $400 million milestone domestically, once again making it the second video game film in history to surpass the milestone. Still think Mario is safe, so Nintendo fans, don't get your heads in a twist. Mario is fine. But yeah, this is still a mighty fine performance. I don't think anyone was expecting this movie to reach these heights. I think this is what people were expecting it to do worldwide, best case scenario. But the fact that it's able to reach this milestone domestically is absolutely insane. I know I've said this time and time again, but especially given after the response to that first trailer, it seemed like this was going to be a dud, but it defied the odds for better and especially for worse. But still, though, mighty fine performance, and on the worldwide side of things, it's still killing it. It has finally surpassed the $900 million milestone. It is slowly but surely approaching the $1 billion milestone. It seems close, but the one thing that's probably gonna slow it down significantly is that it's only got 2 weeks until the next big kids movie, and I mean that's going to be a really big kids movie, so it has to make the most out of its small time it has. So if anything, I think it's probably just going to be another Moana 2 situation where it just barely gets over that milestone. But still, the fact that once again it's reached these heights alone has been really impressive. So yeah, I think it's got one more good weekend ahead of itself until the big competition arrives on Memorial Day weekend. So again, it doesn't have much time, but I feel like it's going to make the most out of it, because man, it has already been so successful already. I think it's going to have at least one final good weekend left in itself. So yeah, another solid weekend for Minecraft, and it looks like it's going to have at least one more good weekend to itself. Number 2 was Sinners, making $22 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $215 million and its worldwide total to $283 million. Sinners continues to do excellently, and it had its biggest drop off in its entire theatrical run, just 32%. Still a mighty fine performance. Like I've been saying every week since I've been talking about this movie, if this was the second weekend drop off, it would have been stupendous. But again, this is the biggest drop off for this film in its theatrical run, 3 weeks in, and this movie is still a juggernaut. I think some of the IMAX screens being lost has affected it, but still not by much. It has become the third film of the year to surpass 200 million domestically, and it has surpassed the entire domestic run of Captain America Brave New World. Imagine telling yourself that like 4 months ago that this would be the case. I probably would not believe you. And because of that, it is also now the 6th horror film in history to surpass $200 million domestically, and is the 5th highest grossing horror movie of all time. Again, domestically, it has surpassed It Chapter 2. It sits behind the likes of The Exorcist, Jaws, The Sixth Sense, the first It chapter, and so on and so forth. So the fact that the movie is reaching those heights, it is cementing itself in the horror hall of fame, if you will, in terms of box office at least. That is monumentous. And while internationally it's not as big as it is domestically, it is starting to pick itself up. It is at 68 million internationally. It should get to 100 million internationally as well. That's a good sign. It seems to be doing really well in some other countries. Again, not as big domestic, but this is a good sign of things to come. If anything, I would probably compare this to like what Beetlejuice did, which is funny considering they're kind of horror movies. But yeah, this is looking pretty impressive. It has tripled its $90 million budget worldwide. It's heading to $300 million worldwide as well. All in all, still a stupendous run for Sinners. This weekend is going to be very interesting for this movie, for better and for worse. For better, because it will be gaining its IMAX 70mm screens back, and just a heads up, most of those showings are sold out, so much to the point where it even crashed the AMC website. The demand was so high for those screenings. But also, like I said earlier, there is another big horror film coming out this weekend, and I think that's gonna steal some of this movie's thunder for sure. But still, the fact that this movie has reached these heights alone, I don't think it'll do significant damage. It'll hurt it a bit, but I don't think it'll be like a big dent or bruise on this film's performance. So yes, once again, Sinners still knocking it out of the park, still hugely successful. Clearly the box office story of the moment right now. Can't wait to see how this movie continues its success as we head further into the summer movie season, even though it's not a summer movie. And finally, let's end the video off with the number 1 movie of the weekend, which was once again Thunderbolts, making $32 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $127 million and its worldwide total to $271 million. So it's interesting. This has had quite the run I think that's the best way to put it. It's not doing great. It's not Breakout. It's not a Minecraft. It's not a Sinners, but it's not a total disaster. It's not a Captain America or a Mickey 17 or Snow White or, But I really do think that people should be a bit underwhelmed by the performance considering the strong response from people. I know it didn't get the best cinema score, but it really seemed like there were people who were really championing this movie. People were saying like, oh, the MCU is back, sort of. It's actually not that bad. It's a pretty good movie. And I thought that would turn into, again, not a Sinners level comeback, but for a much stronger solid hold here. But I guess it's just really the word of mouth is just that people like it, they're enjoying it, but they're not like loving it. And I think that's what's really causing this kind of underwhelming performance. Again, this is not disaster, this is not doom and gloom by any means. It's gonna crack 300 million worldwide pretty soon, and given that it's the only superhero movie out until Superman, I think it'll be able to leg out for a while. I still think enough people like it. I still see people talking about how hyped they were for the after credit sequences. Again, I don't think this is Captain America. I don't think this is going to be one of their misfires by any means, but this is still a bit concerning. You would hope that this movie would have like a better hold than this. Again, it's not falling off the face of the earth, it's not plummeting, but given the stronger reception towards the film from critics and even audiences, I will say, the fact that it got at least an A on Cinema Score is a godsend. You would think the movie would have better legs, better word of mouth for itself. So this one's gonna really be interesting to see how much further this movie can go, because this is definitely a bit concerning. This is not a disaster by any means. This is not all doom and gloom, but this is definitely something we're just gonna have to wait and see on. We'll see if it can quote unquote bounce back, because it's not like this movie, again, fell off or anything. It fell, but not to an insane degree. But yeah, this is still really concerning, and I think people should like keep an eye out on this movie to see if it can truly like reach the heights that it could. I think best case scenario, given this where it's at right now, probably around maybe Shang-Chi, maybe Ant-Man and the Wasp numbers. I think that's where the best case scenario for where this could head. Nothing too great or anything, but nothing horrible either. It's just kind of middle of the road. Definitely going to be interesting to see where this movie heads from this point forward, because this has definitely been an interesting run for this movie for sure. And those were your top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet, as we've got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters. This weekend we have 2 new major wide releases, the first being Hurry Up Tomorrow, a new psychological thriller starring The Weeknd, Jenna Ortega, and Barry Keoghan. That's the most I could gather from what I've read and seen in the trailers, because I'm very confused as to what this movie is truly about, honestly. It looks very surreal, very dark, but I'm not sure what the plot is for this movie, and I get that. I think that's like the vibe that a lot of people are going with this movie. It looks cool, it looks freaky and strange, but I don't know what this movie is, and I think that's what's causing some people to be a bit puzzled and, dare I say, perplexed about what this movie has to offer. I think it could surprise, given the strangeness this movie is clearly trying to go for and how deranged it looks in a lot of the ways. So maybe that might pique interest. And obviously, The Weeknd is such a massive performer, massive singer, and his fan base, I'm sure, is going to rush out to go and see it as soon as possible. I've heard they're doing some early access fan event showings this weekend, and apparently those are doing very well, and I think they've been selling the movie all right. I've seen some promos, I've seen the trailer a lot, so I think they're getting the word out all right. So definitely there's positives, but also, like I said, I'm not sure what the general consensus on this movie has been thus far. I'm not sure if a lot of people are even aware of what this movie is about. I think they say it looks like a weird movie, and that's it. The buzz doesn't seem to be translating a lot over to general audiences. Don't know too many people who aren't like big fans of The Weeknd who are super pumped to see this, and the marketing has been all right, but given how strong The Weeknd is as a name, you know, you'd think they'd be pushing this a bit more. So yeah, big wild card. I can see this disappointing, but I can also see this surprising as well. And then there's Final Destination Bloodlines, the sixth film in the long-running horror franchise. And I don't think I need to explain anything else. I think once you hear the title, you already know what you're in for. And because of that, I think this movie's going to absolutely crush it this weekend. I know the franchise during its peak, its heyday, what they had a ceiling, they had a bar, but I think this one's going to really rise above it. Its legacy as a horror franchise and the way it's just changed the cultural zeitgeist for a lot of people and how they just view the most common everyday objects has really resonated with people, and is definitely a testament to how strong those movies were. And the buzz has been really strong. Been seeing a lot of people getting excited to return to this franchise. The marketing has been fantastic. They've done a lot of creative marketing stunts and promos for this movie. I saw they did a prank on some mothers for Mother's Day where they tricked them into seeing this movie, and of course all the various billboards and posters and trailers. It's all been very strong. It'll be interesting to see how this competes with Sinners, because again, it'll be competing with the IMAX screens, and again, that movie has just been a juggernaut thus far, but I think they'll be able to coexist, not just because they're kind of completely different movies, but also because again, the franchise has just been such a huge, just has this presence to itself that I think it'll be able to stand out and make a name for itself, which it already has. So yeah, I'm expecting a lot for this movie. I think it's going to absolutely crush it this weekend, but we'll see how well this movie truly does, as well as the rest of the movies that land in the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all those social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.